How to stop preparing for life and start living. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a person who decided to build a ship to set out on a great journey. He burns with this idea. He studies hundreds of books on shipbuilding. He watches thousands of hours of videos about navigation, about reading the stars, about ocean currents. He buys the best tools, the highest quality planks, the strongest ropes. His workshop is filled with diagrams, blueprints, and plans. He knows everything about his future ship, every knot, every nail, every board. He has become a true expert in the theory of shipbuilding. But there is one problem. Years pass, and in his workshop, not even the frame of a ship has appeared. He is still on the shore. He is still preparing. Familiar feeling? Maybe you're not building a ship. Maybe you want to launch your own project, or learn a new language, start exercising, change your profession, write a book. You watch educational videos like this one. You read articles, listen to podcasts, buy courses. You create perfect plans, search for the right method, wait for the perfect moment when you will know enough to finally begin. You have become an expert in preparation, but real life itself, the very journey for which all this was meant, never begins. Today we will talk about the most insidious trap of our time. I call it the illusion of progress. It's that state when you're very busy, constantly studying, planning, analyzing, but your real life doesn't change one bit. You mistake standing still for moving forward. And this trap is more dangerous than simple laziness. A lazy person knows they're doing nothing, but someone caught in the illusion of progress sincerely believes they're moving toward a goal. They expend enormous energy, but it goes to waste, like water in the sand. In the next half hour, we will do 3 things together. First, we will dissect this illusion. We'll look under the hood and see why our brain loves preparation and fears real action. Second, we'll identify concrete symptoms that show you're stuck in this trap. And third, and most importantly, we will develop a step-by-step strategy for escaping it. Not just a set of tips, but a real system that will allow you to turn knowledge into action and plans into real results. So if you're tired of being the eternal student of your own life and ready to finally become its architect and builder, stay with me. The journey begins right now.
The anatomy of paralysis. Why do we get stuck? To defeat an enemy, you need to know them face to face. Our enemy is not lack of information. In the 21st century, we have too much of it. Our enemy is action paralysis caused by this excess. Let's examine its deeper causes. There are 3. The first and strongest cause is fear, but not just fear. Fear in its 3 forms. The first form is fear of failure. This one is obvious. What if I start and it doesn't work? What if I waste time, money, energy, and end up failing? People will laugh. I'll disappoint myself. As long as I'm only planning, I'm invulnerable. My idea is perfect. My future project is successful. In the world of my fantasies, I'm already a winner. But as soon as I take the first real step, I enter the territory of risk. And my brain, evolutionarily tuned to avoid danger, screams, "Stop! Out there is the unknown. Here, in the world of plans, it's safe and cozy." Reading one more article or watching one more video is a way to delay facing reality, where things may not go as planned. The second form is fear of imperfection. We live in a culture of perfect pictures, perfect bodies, perfect businesses, perfect lives on social media. And we think our first step must also be perfect. Our first article must be brilliant, our first workout flawless, our first product impeccable. This perfectionism paralyzes us. Instead of doing at least something, we do nothing because something doesn't seem good enough. And we return to planning, trying to polish the idea to mythical brilliance before showing it to the world. The third, most subtle form is fear of success. Yes, you heard me right. What if I actually succeed? Success brings huge responsibility, new expectations from others and from yourself, the need to maintain standards. If your project takes off, you'll have to manage it. If you lose weight, you'll have to keep it off. If you get a new position, you'll have to live up to it. Sometimes, subconsciously, it's more comfortable to remain in the role of promising but not yet started, because that role demands nothing from us except dreaming. The second global cause of our paralysis is the dopamine trap. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter responsible for anticipation of reward, and our brain gets it not only from achieving a goal, but also from planning and studying the goal. When you discover a new shiny idea for improving your life, you get a microdose of dopamine. When you make a beautiful, detailed plan in your journal, another. When you watch a motivational video and imagine how everything will change, another. The brain is fooled. It gets a chemical reward for actions that don't actually bring you closer to the real goal. In essence, you become addicted to the feeling of about to start. It's pleasant, full of hope and potential, much easier than the heavy, routine, often boring work real achievement requires. Watching a video about business is nicer than cold calling clients. Reading about fitness is easier than going to the gym on a rainy day. And the brain chooses the easy path, the dopamine fix from the illusion of progress. The third cause is what I call beginner's impostor syndrome. We look at experts in some field, people who've already achieved what we want, and we see their final result, their confidence, their knowledge, their refined skills. We don't see the thousands of hours of practice, the hundreds of mistakes and failures behind it. And we compare their finish line to our starting line. We compare their chapter 20 to our page 1, and the gap seems insurmountable. Who am I to start this? I know nothing. I need to prepare more, study more, just to have the right to begin. This syndrome makes us endlessly accumulate knowledge, thinking that at some point, quantity will turn into quality and we'll magically feel ready. But that moment never comes, because confidence is not the result of knowledge. Confidence is the byproduct of experience, and experience can only be gained through action.
So, to sum up part 1, we get stuck because of triple fear: failure, imperfection, and success. We fall into the dopamine trap, enjoying preparation instead of work. And we suffer from imposter syndrome, comparing our beginning to someone else's middle. This powerful cocktail can keep us on the shore for years, while the ships of those who dared to start sail past. Now, diagnosis: 5 signs you're in the trap. Now that we understand the mechanics of the trap, let's do some self-diagnosis. I'll name 5 signs. Be honest with yourself. If you recognize yourself in at least 2, it's a serious reason to reflect. Sign 1: your watch later or favorites folder is bigger than your list of actual achievements. You're a collector of information. You save dozens of articles, videos, podcasts meant to change your life. You think, I'll finish this course and then I'll start. But one course is followed by another, one book by the next. Your consumption of content far outpaces its application. You know many productivity techniques, but your procrastination hasn't gone anywhere. You know all about healthy eating, but your diet hasn't changed. Knowledge without action is just intellectual noise. Sign 2: you talk about your plans more than you work on them. You love telling friends and loved ones about your grand ideas, about the project you're going to launch, the skill you'll master, and you get their social approval. They say, "Wow, that's awesome! You're amazing!" And your brain gets another reward, this time social. It checks the box "Goal achieved," since recognition is already received, and the real drive to act decreases. If you notice that talking about a goal replaces working on it, that's a red flag. Sign 3:
You're constantly looking for the perfect tool or method. Before starting to manage your budget, you spend a week choosing the perfect app. Before starting to exercise, you spend a month researching which program is the most effective. Before launching a blog, you spend weeks picking the perfect platform and design. This is procrastination disguised as responsibility. Remember, the best tool is the one you use. The best program is the one you stick to. A ship built from imperfect planks but launched into the water will always be better than a perfect blueprint. Sign 4. Your main criterion for starting is the inner feeling of readiness. You wait for inspiration. You wait for the stars to align. You wait for the moment when all fear and doubt vanish and you feel 100% confident. But that will never happen. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Confidence comes not before, but after you start. Waiting to feel ready is like sitting in a car and waiting for it to drive itself without turning the key in the ignition.
Sign 5, perhaps the subtlest. Your learning is passive and general, not active and targeted. You study how to be productive in general, instead of applying one specific technique to your real task. You watch videos about the psychology of confidence, instead of taking one small action that scares you. You consume information broadly, like a museum visitor glancing at paintings, but never pick up a brush. Real learning that leads to results is always project-based. You learn to swim when you try to stay afloat, not when you read a book about hydrodynamics. If your learning isn't connected to immediate practice, it's not learning, it's entertainment disguised as self-development. So if you collect information but don't apply it, if you talk more than you do, if you search for perfect tools instead of using what you have, if you wait to feel ready, and if your learning is passive, congratulations, you're not lazy, you're not stupid, you've just fallen into a very clever and very modern trap. But the good news is there's a way out of any trap, and now we'll build it together. Liberation, the system for turning knowledge into action. Simply telling yourself, I must start acting, won't work. Our brain is too cunning, and our fears too deep. We need a system, concrete steps that trick our fear, reset our dopamine system, and turn us from eternal theorists into practitioners. This system has 4 levels. Level 1, paradigm shift from being ready to becoming ready. This is a fundamental shift in thinking. Stop seeing readiness as a state to reach before beginning. Readiness is not the starting point. It is the path itself. You become ready by acting. You learn to write by writing bad texts. You learn to run a business by making mistakes in your first project. You gain confidence by doing what scares you and realizing it didn't kill you. Action is not the result of preparation. Action is the most effective form of preparation. It's the fastest way to get feedback from reality. Your perfect plan, created in the vacuum of your mind, will fall apart at the first contact with the real world, and that's normal. The purpose of the first step isn't to succeed. The purpose of the first step is to get information that can't be gained any other way. So right now, change your main question. Instead of, what else do I need to learn before I start? Ask yourself, what's the smallest real action I can take right now to learn more? This question switches you from passive consumer to active explorer.
Level 2, the principle of the minimally viable action, MVA. This term comes from the startup world, where there's the idea of the minimum viable product, MVP. It's the simplest version of a product you can show users to get feedback. We'll apply the same principle to our lives. A minimally viable action is the smallest, Physically doable action that brings your idea out of your head and into the real world. It must be so small your brain can't sabotage it. So simple that saying no would be silly. Examples. Your goal is to write a book. Your MVA isn't write the first chapter. It's open a text editor and write one sentence, or write 200 words without rereading. Your goal is to launch a YouTube channel. Your MVA isn't film and edit the first video. It's pick up your phone, record a 60-second video on any topic, and watch it yourself. Don't post it, just do it. Your goal is to change jobs. Your MVA isn't send 100 resumes. It's open one job site and look at 3 listings in your field. Feel the difference? The MVA lowers the entry bar to an absurd minimum. It bypasses perfectionism and fear of failure. It's impossible to fail at write one sentence. By doing this micro action, you accomplish 2 key things. First, you break the vicious cycle of procrastination. You physically start moving. Second, you get a microdose of real, earned dopamine, not from illusion, but from actual action, however small. This starts a positive feedback loop. Level 3. The architecture of sequence, from impulse to inertia. One MVA isn't enough. We need to turn the first impulse into steady motion. For this, we need a simple but strict structure. I suggest a system I call the chain. Pick one most important task you keep postponing, your shipbuilding. And your task for the next 30 days is to add one link to this chain every day. 1 MVA, no more. Don't try to set records. Your goal isn't an impressive result in one day. It's continuity. Buy the simplest wall calendar, and every day after completing your MVA, put a big red X on that day. After a few days, you'll see a short chain of X's, and you'll gain a new motivator, stronger than inspiration, the desire not to break the chain.
Psychologically, it's much harder to skip a day and leave a blank spot in the row of red X's than just to say, I'm not in the mood today. This system shifts your focus from your big, scary goal, building the ship, to the simple daily task, adding another X to the calendar. You begin competing with yesterday's version of yourself. Important. If you do miss a day, don't scold yourself or quit. The rule is simple. Never miss 2 days in a row. 1 miss is an accident. 2 is the start of a bad new habit. Level 4. Creating a feedback loop with reality. This is the antidote to imposter syndrome and intellectual noise. Stop looking for answers only in books and videos. Start asking questions to the real world. What does this mean in practice? If you want to start a business, your MVA isn't reading a marketing book. It's talking to one potential customer. Ask them, what's your biggest problem in this area? Their answer will be worth 100 theories. If you're learning a language, your MVA isn't doing another lesson in an app. It's trying to write one comment in that language under a native speaker's post. Even with mistakes, their reaction, that's your feedback. If you're writing an article, your MVA isn't rereading it for the 10th time. It's sending a raw draft to one friend and asking, what's most unclear to you here? Create a ritual. Once a week, spend 30 minutes writing in a notebook not what you learned, but what you did, and what feedback from the world you got. I spoke to 2 clients, and it turned out my brilliant idea was useless to them, but they need something else. I posted my first drawing, and no one liked it, but one person said the colors were too dark. I tried to run 1 kilometer, but only managed 500 meters, and I realized my shoes are uncomfortable.
That is real learning. That is progress. Not illusion, but real steps corrected by reality.
This approach kills imposter syndrome because you're no longer a fraud. You become an explorer, a practitioner, an experimenter. And an experimenter isn't ashamed of failed attempts. They're just data. Let's return to our man on the shore, the one who spent years studying the theory of shipbuilding. All the information he gathered isn't useless, it's valuable, but its value is zero as long as it lies dead weight in his head. Knowledge only shows its value at the moment of application. We live in an amazing time when access to information is nearly limitless, but that's also our curse. We drown in an ocean of opportunities, afraid to pick one current and start rowing. We mistakenly believe the more we know, the easier it will be to begin. But the truth is the opposite. The more we know about what we don't know. The informational horizon expands, and the perfect starting moment keeps moving further away. Enough. Enough waiting for motivation, enough looking for the perfect plan, enough fearing to take an imperfect first step. The ship you want to build won't emerge from blueprints on its own. It's built one plank at a time. And the first plank, crooked, rough, but real, is always more important than the most perfect design. Your real life is not something that will begin someday when you're ready. It is happening right now, in every decision, to consume a little more information or to take one minimally viable action, to close this video and go watch something else, or to pick up a pen and write one single sentence for your future book. So here's my final question and my challenge to you. What is your minimally viable action? Not in general, not someday, the one you can take within the next 24 hours. Formulate it as clearly and simply as possible. And I ask you, don't do it for me, do it for yourself. Write this action in the comments under this video, not to brag, but to make a public commitment to yourself, to turn from a passive viewer into an active participant. Thank you for spending this time with me, but I hope the most important part of our time together begins for you only after you press pause. It's time to launch your first ship, even if it's a small one. The shore can wait, the ocean cannot.